Hello, my name is Maddie Livingston, and I was assigned Endochondral Ossification as my modeling project. Endochondral ossification is the replacement of hyaline cartilage, which we see right here, represented by this dark blue plastic, with bone. So we can look here at the center at this blue foam, and this represents chondrocytes. These chondrocytes are beginning to swell, and they will eventually die, leaving behind cavities. We can see here in this next step that they have expanded in the diaphysis region, and we see more of these little cavities being formed. We also notice that there are blood vessels that are coming to the area, and these blood vessels are going to puncture the perichondrium, which is represented by this orange right here. And they'll bring fibroblasts to the area. These fibroblasts will then differentiate into osteoblasts. The osteoblasts will then replace the perichondrium with a periosteum, which is represented by the yellow portion. Just like a bone sheath just around the area. This will actually choke out the chondrocytes even more, forming more of these cavities. Here we notice that there are more blood vessels that are coming to the area. But we also notice this primary ossification center where bone is replacing the chondrocytes cavities. We see this in greater detail here. We see that there is actually the formation of bone now along the diaphysis region. The blood vessels are innervating, the chondrocytes and the cartilage is being formed into bone, furthering along the process. Next, blood vessels actually migrate to the proximal and distal epiphyses regions, forming the secondary ossification centers. Here we see compact bone being deposited, secreted more, and the compact bone will be a little different than the spongy bone. Compact bone has osteons, and these osteons are complexes that are much different than the spongy bone. The osteocytes, the bone cells, will occupy lacunae, and in long bones we see compact bone along the diaphysis. However, in the proximal and distal epiphyses, we'll see spongy bone. Here, the growth will be outward, forming the trabeculae of the spongy bone. Here, it's important to note that there is no periosteum, and this is the articular cartilage, which will reduce friction when the bones are rubbing together in the joints. Here, we see a portion of the epiphysis. We see pretty much almost the completion of the ossification of the epiphysis. These yellow plastic pieces represent the spongy bone. And what's important to note here is that what is happening is interstitial growth as well as appositional. But the way that this works, this is the epiphyseal disc at the metaphysis region of the bone. Chondrocytes and cartilage continue to pile up on this side, the epiphysis side, but on the diaphysis side of the bone, the cartilage is being replaced by bone from the osteoblasts. And these processes happen at the same rate, so they'll continue to move along at the same rate. However, once you reach a certain age, that epiphyseal disc will then ossify, and you won't see any more growth in the bone. That is represented by this white foam region. This all is spongy bone here. Again, spongy bone will be primarily in the epiphysis region, and compact bone will be in the diaphysis region. One last important thing to note is the formation of a medullary cavity by remodeling. And this medullary cavity will hold the yellow and red bone marrow depending on which bone. We still see the articular cartilage here, and this is pretty much a completely developed bone through the process of endochondral ossification.